Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary. Tonight, I'm going to be talking to you about the Sexton. Now, the Sexton is a newer bottle to the industry. This is probably only a few years old. However, the juice inside is 4 years aged, and because of that, you could kind of draw the conclusion that it's probably sourced. And almost definitely is going to be sourced. In fact, it's almost definitely going to be sourced from Bushmills. Now, if this is a thing that bothers you, so be it. Don't pick up the bottle. Personally, I don't really care, as long as it tastes good. So, we will move on. Now, Sexton comes from the Latin word sacristanus, and what this means is custodian of sacred objects, which is essentially referring to a grave digger. The idea being that he's the last person to see any body before it is just interned into the ground. And the idea, once again, is to live a life that's worth celebrating and leaving an impression. So that's kind of the general message. However, they've recently changed their branding, and I personally can identify with this a lot more. Their whole thing being that, like, people who, are up late, working hard, doing whatever, trying to make a difference, those are kind of the people that this whiskey's for. I find it just a little bit appropriate because it's currently 11:04 p.m. and I am recording in my kitchen. So I love this whiskey brand message for that reason alone, because I feel like I identify with it. But has nothing to do with the juice that's in there. I just enjoy a good marketing campaign. So let's talk about the real story here. Now, the real story behind this whiskey is with the master blender. Now, her name is Alex Thomas, and she spent years working at Bushmills. And in 2012, she got her diploma for master blender. And when she did that, she decided to, it was kind of unclear, but at some point she decided to start her own brand. And in her past, she worked as a church warden, which is somebody who helps to, volunteer at a church. And she got kind of into the idea of sweet sherry wine while she was there, which I like that message too. It's pretty cool. And because of that, when she started her own brand, she looked for ex-sherry barrels, which this is aged in. So that makes some sense. Some people will make a big deal out of the fact that she's a female master blender. I don't personally give a crap what sex a person is, as long as what they're doing is worthwhile. So I don't really care about it. But speaking of which, let's find out what's in this bottle and see if it's living up to the message here. So let's go ahead and give it a nose. So the first thing I get out of this is a little bit of dark chocolate mixed with some honey. So I'd say the two are on par. And then there's a little bit of kind of a fruitiness to it, but obviously coming from the sherry, but I'd say that's muted and far below the other two. There's also kind of this like marshmallowy almost nose to it, which is kind of neat. All right, let's go ahead and give it a taste. Cheers. So unique in flavor. Something that I don't get very often is strawberry. I taste strawberries in this, which is very cool and kind of it was definitely unexpected the first time I tasted this. You're definitely picking up a lot of notes of the sherry. It's coming through a lot more strongly in the taste than it does in the nose, which usually is backwards. So I found that to be pretty unique. Also, there's kind of a honey note here, and general viscosity that you wouldn't normally see in a 40% ABV bottle. So you've got kind of an oiliness that lasts in your mouth and kind of lingers. So impressive that that's actually hanging out there for a 40% ABV bottle. Okay, let's talk overall. So this bottle costs roughly $28 in my area. So let's just call it $30 to be safe. $30 for an Irish whiskey that not only has cool branding behind it, but has some good juice in it. It's a blend, which makes sense, but a lot of stuff in Ireland is. So don't detract it from any sort of score on that. It's just pretty good, I think that this is first off, this is an awesome starter Irish whiskey. And I had mentioned that in my definitive beginner guide for Irish whiskeys. But even still, I see this as one that you could really enjoy, especially if you just threw it like an ice cube in there. Not something I personally normally do very often, but I could see this as like a sipper, chilled a little bit, being very enjoyable. So anyway, that does it for me. I think that I'm gonna give this a buy it. it's right teetering on try it and buy it there in my mind, but I'm gonna go buy it because of the price. I think that puts it over the edge. If you have never tried this, give it a shot. Just know that this bottle doesn't fit very well in a lot of cabinets and whatever, because it's just such a weird shape. So anyway, thank you for joining me here on the Whiskey Dictionary, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.